Yo, people, welcome back to another episode of the Thfc show. It's your boy Tapping Tobes. I'm joined yet again this week by my fellow co-host Fuad. What you saying, bro?
All good, man. All good. It's been a good weekend, a busy weekend. You know what I mean? But 3 point collectors at the end of the weekend. You know what I mean? We got a lot to dive into. So I'm always glad that we're doing this now more consistently. You know what I mean? Since what? Start of January, basically. Since after
Yeah,
World Cup, I'd say every week we've
yeah,
been in. You know what I mean? So it's been nice getting this therapy in.
yeah. And that's what it has been for the past couple of weeks. It's been therapy, but today we've actually got something to smile about, man. We've got something to smile about. Whether that will last remains to be seen, but we're going to talk about it regardless. For those who have just joined early doors as well, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Make sure you subscribe to Fuad's channel. But yeah, let's get into it, man. Let's talk all things Spurs, man. Sorry, I had it on my phone as well. I've been slacking with my streams recently as well, so I'm trying to get that back up. And I feel like this THFC show is a nice little medium where I know guaranteed, whether it's on your channel or my channel, we're going to talk purely on field when it comes to Spurs. But
Yeah.
let's actually talk. So go on, you want to say something?
No. I was gonna say yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that. But go on. You was gonna ask.
Yeah, let's talk about this game, man. Let's talk about this game. So for those who live under a rock and didn't get to see it or don't know which game we're talking about, Spurs played Man City the weekend just gone. Sunday 4:30 kickoff under the lights at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and Spurs surprisingly got 3 points. It may not be surprising for those who have actually been keeping an eye on this fixture over the years because ever since we've moved into this new stadium. Um, Man City have not beaten us, and Man City have not even scored against us. So that is now 5-0 when it comes to this new ground, which is actually pretty impressive when you actually look at it, right?
Oh.
But they suffered a 1-0 defeat, courtesy of a Harry Kane goal, landmark day for Harry Kane, landmark goal for Harry Kane. But let's actually talk about the actual game itself first, because Fuad, we spoke about this match last week on your channel with X, and I think X was probably the only one who went for a result that wasn't a loss. I think he might have went for a draw or a win.
I
Or he
think
might have went for a win.
he went for the win. I think, and me and you both went for draws. And then
Well,
as the game got a little bit closer, I was like, When I started to hear things like, "Well, they haven't scored at the new stadium," I was like, "Hey, I didn't know that started." I was like, but then, they always got Haaland there, so you're always like, what can they cook up? But bruv, I thought like it was a very good result and then a very good game as well. Like performance wise, I think against the top six sides coming into it, that's partly where my nerves was coming from as well. I was like, every other top six side, even Liverpool and Chelsea, when we've played them, we haven't performed well. And I was like, is this going to be kind of another case of that? But bro, I would say from early on, even we performed really well. We got the goal, I think, within 15 minutes, was it? And that was from a relentless press. I felt like I was like, you know what, we've set the right tempo coming into this. But after the goal, I started to be concerned. I'll be honest with you. After the goal, up until about half time, I would have said City were probably the better side. And I think the Mara's chance at the end kind of just summarized it, where they were kind of just a little bit unlucky hitting the crossbar. But after that second half, I thought we come out all guns blazing pretty much and could have made it 2 or 3, in my opinion. But overall, I thought kind of you have to touch on some of the individuals that kind of the way they played. I think
we'll talk.
Højbjerg, I think his work rate summarized pretty much both the goal and kind of our performance in midfield. I think Rodri's kind of their key man, I feel like, in Pep's system over the last couple of weeks, and he was just doing everything to extinguish that. I thought Son looked so much better. I said after that, the midweek, was it the Preston game last week? I said his performance was actually more impressive than the goals for me, if anything. If we can actually see some of that kind of sharpness come back to him, and that's what I thought in the second half was actually a major boost. On a lot of our counterattacks, when he was getting it, he was killing that dead, sharp turns, getting the ball moving, beating his man. I was like, all right, if I can see a little bit more of this, I'm loving that. And you can see how much more dangerous that makes us. It actually makes us a threat on the counter now. So in the second half, I was actually looking at where I was thinking in the first half, our counter's dead. The second half, it looked much better, and we are actually hitting them. Kane probably should have got a second, in my opinion. But either way, all in all, his performance was brilliant. Kane, and you can't go through this game without talking about him. People are talking about, you got Haaland on one end, who goes 90 minutes without touching the ball. And then you talk about, on the other end, you got a man breaking the goal scoring record, 200 Premier League goals as well. Like, I think that's being overlooked, where everyone's kind of looking at the 267 Tottenham record. That's fantastic. But 200 Premier League goals, brother, that is crazy to do that by 29. Crazy. And listen, incredible performance, a lot of standout players. I thought game plan executed to perfection. And listen, City haven't really been in their stride. You could say we caught them on an off day or whatever, but you got to take your chances. And we've shown that when they come to our grounds, we always make it sticky for them. So can't complain, man.
Yeah. I do think we've rode our luck once or twice when they've come to our ground in recent years. But in fact, probably once, that the 2-0 when Bergwijn scored. But I think outside of that, Spurs have actually been good value for 3 points when they've come up against Man City last season against Nuno, and then this season as well. Conte and Stellini, they did what I felt like. Before we actually get into the some of the performers that you've mentioned, right, and the overarching outlook on the game, I feel like the actual game plan for Man City was spot on, man. And I feel like that was probably the first performance this season where I've really been proud of Spurs playing up against a fellow Big Six side. Because when you look at the performance against Chelsea, yes, we drew, and I respected the grind, digging out a result when you was second best, but we were second best. Man United was a training match for United. Arsenal, both home and away, showed their superiority clearly. Liverpool was probably the one in the second half where I could actually say, you know what, we actually took it to Liverpool, but again, we let ourselves down with the first half performance, right? So we've not really covered ourselves in glory when we've come up against some of the fellow Big Six sides. And of course, the 4-2 with City just a couple of weeks back was the truest indication of that. But
yeah,
I felt like this game was the first time this season where you've seen a Spurs performance from start to finish. I take on your point in terms of like how sloppy we were with the ball in the first half. I felt like the first half we were doing all the good things off the ball defensively, but I felt like on the ball, our selection was a bit dodgy. I even remember there was one pass right at the end on the stroke of halftime. Bentancur, Harry Kane is in space and a clear opportunity to counter. It's an easy pass that you should make. He overhits it. Højbjerg winning the ball back and then losing it. Romero winning the ball back and then on his left peg playing the ball straight into Man City. Do you get what I'm saying? I felt like Man City were getting a tiny bit of joy in terms of like being able to pin us in our half because we were just a bit sloppy with the ball. But generally,
that started to make me nervous though. That's where you almost started, because in the first game, that's where as soon as City started to get their grips on the game, you're thinking, oh shit, we won't be able to get our way out of this. That was my fear anyway, kind of, especially going into the back end of the kind of second half. I'm thinking, bro, we're too sloppy on the ball. I hear we're doing all this great defensive work, and I thought that as well. I thought even Emerson, I didn't even touch on some of the individuals we'll get onto later, but incredible. And I thought in the second half, though, as you said, is where we turn the screws, if anything, rather than seeing City turn the screws.
Yeah, but even in the first half, though, like, yeah, we were sloppy with the ball, but I always felt that we kept Man City at arm's length, and I didn't really feel danger up until that Riyad Mahrez moment. And even then, I don't even think you can call that that's not even a big chance. Like if Mahrez scores from there with the players in front of him, he's done remarkably well to put that top bins. I mean, we know he's got the quality, but despite how sloppy we were on the ball, I'm really proud of how good we were off the ball. And I felt like the tactic from Conte and Stellini was perfect, man. For the first time this season in a big game, you actually saw Spurs go into this game with a clear plan, not just playing 3-4-3 and soaking up pressure, but a clear plan, deliberate. When when pressing triggers, when Rodri's getting on the ball, pressing, when Man City are trying to play out from the back, committing 6 men for the press, not just Harry Kane go press, go press 2 people, and then Son go and press 2 people. And because we've seen that over the course of the season where we incorporate a half-hearted press and teams play around that so easily. I felt like one thing we did really well in part of this game is we pressed Man City. And if it wasn't a case of pinning them in their own box, it was a case of making them recycle the ball backwards and go back to their goalkeeper, who would then go long. And then we were able to win the first ball and then win the second ball, right? I felt like this was more of what we grew accustomed to towards the back end of last season with Conte and his team, man. And even for the first goal again, you see it, right? You have the front three in a good position to press, and then you had the midfield 2, and then you had Eric Dyer to complement it into.
Did you that as well? Eric Dyer being almost like this first presser out of the defense, where normally you see that centre back is the recovery man. He was almost like the first line of the press out there, where Romero would normally try and be that, because that's just innate who he is. That's who he is. Yeah. But I liked it, man, and it was a tweak, and it's not the first time we've used the centre back to join the press, to join a high press, should I say? But like it worked, man, and it paid dividends. It paid dividends at their ground for our first goal, and it paid dividends again on the weekend, man. And it was really, really, really good, man. I love that from Benton Court. Do you think that's the type of game though, where it's like it's a template for the rest of the second half of the season, or do you think it's just one of those games where we've gotten up for it just because it's City, we know we're their kind of hoodoo team and it's at home type of thing?
I'll be real with you. I don't know. I don't know if it's just a one-off. I don't know because Conte has the capacity to set Spurs up well enough to win.
Yeah.
In some of these matches we play against our supposed rivals.
He's round the corner, bro.
Pardon?
AC Milan is round the corner.
Yeah. We'll touch on all of these fixtures, but I feel like Spurs have just been unserious, and Conte's been a bit unserious in terms of how we've gone about these games, man. But I just felt like there was a deliberate, clear plan of action against Man City, and it worked, and long may it continue, hopefully. But then let's actually talk on some of the players, right? Because for me, there were 2 standouts, right? There were 2 clear standouts, and I think it was observed, in my opinion, from like probably the first 20-25 minutes. One is Emerson Royale, who was my man of the match, and the second is Ben Davies. I thought both of them were sensational, man. They really, really were. And I know we joke and we cuss him out and call him Chicken Royale and stuff, but let's actually talk about this game of football, right? Let's talk about this game of football, and for the game itself, let's actually give credit where it's due. He was excellent. I know I listened to Stoppage Time, and I know what you said about Pedro Porro, and I think that definitely plays a part. Because the club have gone out of their way and spent the whole month chasing a guy who's playing in your position. They've let go of Matt Doherty and Jed Spence, so they have every intention of fast tracking this guy into the team. So yes, it plays a part, but I need you to give this guy some credit here, because he was exceptional, man. He was.
No, listen, I said even on SDS last night, I was like, yo, he actually epitomized everything about our performance defensively. I felt like the hunger, the press, like always being in the right place at the right time. And even there was a couple of 1 or 2 recovery tackles where I thought Romero slipped up, where he made the recovery. And I was like, I ain't ever seen you act like this before. And it's like all of a sudden when my new £43 million signing walks through the door, we're talking about, this might be the solution since Kyle Walker. You've been smelling it up the whole first half of the season, and now you want to drop this Blasic on the champion's head. And the thing was, Grealish was actually having a good game, I thought, in the first half. I thought he was City's best player by a mile. He was the only one trying to create, actually. I thought Mahrez had his moments, but I thought Grealish, out of all of the poor performers, if you like, in City's team, he was the only one that was trying to do something. Emerson, as the game went on, just grew stronger and stronger and just said, "Little man, hold this Alice band and sit down, my brother." I said, fair dues, man. Listen, give him his dues, but let's just leave it there. That's my only thing. I don't want this to now become a snowball. I've seen this too many times at our clubs. And listen, for this game, for what he did, I've seen this in games like Liverpool. I remember last year, he's performed in big games before. I'm not surprised by this. Let's not act like Emerson is a completely incompetent footballer. It's just we don't feel like he's the right fit for our club right now, and he has far too many deficiencies to succeed here long term, in my opinion. But brother, I'm not now because of one good defensive performance, because nobody's saying anything about what he was doing going forward. And I know there was one little cute flick he did to Kulu where I was like, brother, man, I'm trying to prove their Brazilian muscle. I was like, relax.
Yeah, he loves it. He loves it. I said it to my friend at the game. I was like, he loves these little flicks.
Yeah, that's getting that triple light effect on that move. I was like, yo, he's gonna go crazy with it. But listen, fair play. For me, yeah, you can give him man of the match performance. Let him see this form to wherever it can take him. But at some point, we must phase him out. That's my only thing. If in the summer we can move him on, I say we can make a profit potentially. And if he keeps these performances up, it only works to our benefit. But in my opinion, I don't think Emerson is ever going to be the solution. And sometimes I feel like there's a section of our fan base that almost out of, trollness, like to almost, when he does well, it's like, hey, Emerson High, we back. I'm like, yo, come on, man. Don't kill me, please. So it's partially funny to see, because I'm thinking, yeah, these men are trolling. But part of me thinks, yo, I hope you man aren't serious. You know what I'm saying? So, what people think?
No, you know what it is. I'm just flicking through the comments as we go through. I've seen some thoughts of people saying he plays against Leicester. Emerson, right centre back. I don't really want to see Emerson play right centre back. I don't think he is a right centre back. I think he is a right back. And I think I'm not really going to get into his future because we already know my points on his future. I cussed this guy enough. Today I said I'm actually just going to be nice because you have actually put in a big performance, right? And you're right. It's not the first time he's put in a big performance. I thought we saw him against Arsenal last season. We saw him against Liverpool last season as well. Even Man City away, defensively, he was quite resolute. So we know he has the capacity to do this because Emerson is not a bad defender. That is not the reason why there's so much anger towards Emerson when he plays. Emerson is a competent defender, and he's putting more defensively resolute performances than I can count. Like he's actually putting quite a few. There's a few games where he's a bit erratic, but generally speaking, I don't look at Emerson and think like he's a poor defender, but we know where his deficiencies lie. But that being said, against Man City, he was excellent, man. And I almost want to extend the praise because I feel like it's off the back of two more solid performances at the back, in absence of what he gives us going forward, which is nothing, right?
Yeah.
Defensively against Fulham, he was one of the best performers against Fulham in that stinky game. Really, really good performer there. Against Man City in the away game that we lost 4-2, I felt him and Romero were probably the only two defenders that could come out of that game with any sort of skin in the game in terms of like their contribution, because they actually defended relatively well and Emerson scored. So I don't think it's just a one-off. When we look at the last couple of games, I think he's actually playing better than he was a couple of weeks back, and I think he deserves credit for that, man. I don't know what Conte is going to do against Leicester. Leicester are going to be a different opposition. Leicester, I can imagine we will have a lot more of the ball than we did against Man City, and we'll talk on Leicester towards the back end of this in terms of who we want to see starting. But I think this is where Conte just needs to be clever, right? This is what we talk about, maximizing the squad, right? Ben Davies, I don't know what it is about Man City, but Ben Davies, mate,
loves the minute.
Strong performance, man. Like strong performance, and it's not even just him. You know what? The lot of them. I think every single person defensively was on job. The only on the ball, Perisic was horrible again against Man City on Sunday, but off the ball, Ben Davies, Romero, Dyer, like they were fantastic, man. Everything aerially, they won it. Ground jewels, they won it. Like I use what's this stats bomb? Is it stats bomb? No, it's stats zone. So I use an app called stats zone. So it gives me like a view in terms of recoveries and stuff like that. And this extends to the midfield as well. Højbjerg and Bentancur. Højbjerg got the second most ball recoveries in the game with 8 ball recoveries, right? Rodrigo Bentancur got the second most tackles in the game with 4 out of 4 tackles completed. Interceptions, Romero, Emerson, and Højbjerg and Bentancur all tied on 2 interceptions. Blocks, Eric Dyer and Romero tied on 2. Clearances, Emerson 6 out of 6, Dyer 4 out of 4. Headed clearances, Eric Dyer 4 out of 4, Ben Davies 3 out of 3, Emerson 3 out of 3, Romero 2 out of 2. Defensive aerial duels, Eric Dyer 3 out of 5, right? So you can see that these guys, they were, whether they were playing for Conte, whether they were playing to actually get back to winning ways at home, bro, they put in a shift, man. They really did. And it doesn't go unnoticed. It really doesn't.
Yeah, let's just hope, though, it's consistent now. For me, I just hope they just use this as a platform to build now. If you can give me your Ben Davies impression that you did in the second half of last year, where you kind of initially took that left centre-back slot and really made it your own. I remember even under Jose in the second half of the season, I remember he did that. So if you can give me that, cool. But once again, that is a position where long-term we do need to find a solution. I do think, just going back to Emerson as well quickly, I would say, I think someone commented it as well, maybe not force Porro in. Give him that, settle in, take your time. If Emerson's going to kind of give you some solid performances and give you some kind of competency going forward, ride this wave of form, if you like, for the next couple of weeks. But at some point, whether it's the Champions League or that game where you start Porro, if you see something exciting that moves you, that's the game you run with it. But for me, don't force Porro in the sense of, after Emerson's just dropped a game like that, I don't think you can go and say, you know what, cheers for that, but bench next game. So
so this chat is interesting, and there's this big up for who sent the super chat. I'm going to read it in a second, but this comment is interesting because I've seen this mentioned by a lot of people. And listen, my view on Emerson is my view on Emerson, but logically I can actually see where some people are coming from with this, right? Bump of K, Jesus, that's a terrible name. If you know, you know. That's a shocking name. But Emerson and Porro is a lovely balance. Different profiles for different matches, promising. And I don't see that as promising per se, but that's just me. That's just my opinion on Emerson. But I can see why he has that opinion, because you look at the balance, right, that you have with both types of players. You have someone like Pedro Porro, who, for all intents and purposes, is basically a one-man playmaking machine. When you look at his statistics and look at how he plays, he excels on the ball. And then you look at someone like Emerson, who basically can't give you anywhere near what Pedro Porro can give you on the ball, but off the ball, he looks stronger. Emerson looks stronger, looks faster, looks like he's a better proposition in the air, and looks like his ability to read danger could be better than Pedro Porro. I've not really seen Pedro Porro defend, but I'm only going off what Emerson has shown us in the Spurs shirt. So what do you think, putting your opinion on Emerson aside and just taking the statement, what's your view on this comment?
Nah, for me, I still think Emerson has to go at the end of the day. I think we've seen long enough, and I don't think you develop a first touch overnight. I don't think you develop the ability to cross a ball overnight or whatever. And yeah, you could say he invested £1 million last summer. I haven't seen the results of it. So what are we going to do? Spend 2 million next summer and wait for the results of that? My thing is, we've got Jed Spence, who, if you saw the game on loan on his debut, looked very good, bro. And if Conte is going to leave next summer and the new manager is going to come in, I would like to see if he can be a squad player, kind of be the backup to Pedro Porro, who, let's be honest, we brought in as 43 million, big signing. That's not chump change. Do you know what I mean? So I expect him to actually step up when he does get the opportunity. However, listen, this is what I'm saying. It's Emerson right now has just dropped the classic. You can't drop him the next game, in my opinion. I think you have to let him play the next 2, 3, whatever it is. But the second you have that stinker, the second you have that, opportunity to get Pedro Porro in, and Pedro, or let's say you even bring Porro in one game where Emerson's played bad for 60, you bring Porro in for 30, he gives you an incredible maybe that's now next game, I'm going to start Porro. But this is how you do it, in my opinion. You can't just drop Emerson after you just drop the game like that. No way. But long term, there's no. He can drop 6 more classics like this. I've sold all stocks on Emerson, man. You can't trick me.
Same. We spoke on the ideal setup in the last stream, so I'm not going to speak on it too much. But listen, I just hope Jed Spence crushes it, and I hope Porro comes in and sets the world alight, man. If anything, I want Emerson to play, to give us 10 more of those performances, because then it makes him a more attractive prospect in the summer window. So as long as he's playing well, bruv, keep him coming. Like if he can play like that most weeks, I'm not gonna complain. I genuinely won't. In fact, that's a lie. I probably will complain some games, but I just think like ultimately nobody wanted Emerson to flop. We all wanted Emerson to bang, but we watched enough now to form an opinion in terms of what we want from that spot at right back or right wing back. So, but I get the comment. I get the comment. I get it completely. But people as well. There's over 200 of you lot in here. Make sure you smash the like button, please. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to Fuad's channel as well. Just smash the like button. It takes 1 second, and it does us both a world of good. Yeah. By the end of this stream, I want to see close to 200 likes, please, and thank you. So let's actually move on then from the defensive, like, beastly performances as well. Let's talk about one man. Obviously, in fact, no. Let's actually talk about Romero. Romero actually got sent off, right? Romero got sent off. Yeah, because he's Romero. Like the first challenge, crazy challenge, and then the second one, I felt like he had to do it, because if he didn't do it, you've got Jack Grealish basically having an option to play Gundogan, who was already in behind Emerson, or Haaland, who had space to attack on Dyer's side, right? What did you make of his performance? Because I felt like certain people on social media, I feel like they're letting the fact that he got sent off or he got red card tarnish their view of the game, because he was really good, just like our other defenders. He was really good.
I loved it. You see that kind of performance, that's a tone setter. You see Haaland, 0 touches in the box. I'm telling you now, that tackle early on rattled the cage. That lets you know, brother, whatever day you thought you was going to have, you're in for a slog today. It let him know. And even as you said, that's the first yellow card. The second yellow card is a tactical foul. I have no qualms with shithousery and tactical fouling if it's helping the team. Right there, you help the team, in my opinion. I have no qualms with that. I would never want a player who... I would rather have a player who I'm having to hold back rather than have a player who I'm having to fire up. And I think with Romero, sometimes people wonder, does he play on the edge too much? Does he play on a fine line or whatever? I love that about him, bro. That's the reason why we brought him. We felt like we didn't have enough dogs in our defense like that before. He's one of those few that fires it up, and sometimes it can get him in trouble. But this is the game you play. When you play with fire, you're gonna get burnt sometimes. Give me more of those types of performances. And I think people are silly if they're letting a red card. And for me, I was like, listen, you done your job. You go have your shower now. You did your thing. And then we just tactically switched it up. Who did we bring on straight away? I can't remember. I think we brought Sanchez on.
We brought on. I think we did bring on Davison Sanchez.
Yeah, but anyway, we just pulled it up. We didn't really seem troubled by City at that point in the second half, anyway, in my opinion. So I have no qualms with a performance like that. If people want to complain about that, I don't know what game they're watching. People are watching games on SofaScore these days, man.
Yeah, this comment is ridiculous. Should have got sent off for the first challenge. How? How was that a sending off? That's nuts, man. Come on, people. Come on. This is football. Um, yeah, like I completely agree with everything you said, man. Listen, he'll miss Leicester, which is annoying, and it's problematic because of which player comes in. But you would hope that hopefully the team is on decent enough momentum, because this is now 2 back-to-back clean sheets in the Premier League. This is 3 clean sheets in our last 3 matches in all competitions. Granted, one was against a pathetic Preston side who can't score to save their lives these days. But it's 2 back-to-back clean sheets for a side that have conceded as many goals as we have. So it's slow progress, but it's progress. You got to take it.
No, facts.
But let's actually move on to let's actually move on to the rest of the team, right? Because you made a point on someone like Son, for instance. I felt even though he didn't have as many touches as he normally would have in a normal game of football, I felt like, I agree with you, he looked dangerous. When he picked up the ball, he was sharp with it. He was driving right at the heart of Man City, trying to commit people forward, taking the ball like 20, 30 yards up the pitch and then releasing, right? And then if there was no option to release, he would go for a shot. Like he didn't have any opportunities to score, but it looked more like the old Son. I felt like, probably for me, I felt Kulusevski was actually quite poor, in my opinion. I felt like he was quite poor, and I do think since he's come back from his injury, he has looked poor.
Yeah.
I feel like he looks like he's been rushed. I didn't think he was good against Arsenal. I know he came to life in the second half, but I didn't think he was good against Arsenal. I didn't think he was good against Fulham. I didn't think he was particularly good against Preston, and I don't think he was good against Man City. But Kulusevski is Kulusevski. He still makes his impacts even when he's not playing well, which is the mark of a good player, man. Before we talk on Harry Kane, what was your thoughts on Son, Kulu, even Bentancur as well? Bentancur, like he's such a good player, man. Like the energy that he brings and the tone that he sets when he's in our side is unreal, man. And he brings, the thing is, it's mad to say this because Højbjerg is a full-grown man, but he brings the best out of Højbjerg. That's how good this guy is. He brings the best out of Højbjerg.
Likewise, though, I think when Højbjerg is at his best, that allows Bentancur. Like, I really think they do complement each other well as a double pivot in a weird way. I think Son, I've said this is performance-wise, this is what you want to see. I said last week against Preston, it was against lower opposition, so you kind of do look at it with one eye thinking, is he just doing this kind of against championship opposition? But this was, as you said, no goals involved, but I was still impressed with the performance. I think Kulusevski, as you said, since the injuries, he has not looked the same. And it's really like looks a shadow of himself. So that's why I think when you said, did he come back a little bit early? I'm thinking possibly, actually. What was his injury anyway? What was it? An hamstring or knee?
I think it was a hamstring injury.
But he seems like he's still not fully there. I thought of all the games since he's come back, this was probably his most quiet or least influential, if that makes sense. But I thought other than that, you can't complain.
Yeah, I don't really want to. I'm not really going to get on Kulu too much, and to be honest, I don't like using the whole he was rushed back. Maybe he's just not playing well. And fair enough. If you're not playing well, eventually it will warrant criticism. But generally, you've been a net positive for the team, and he's still influential.
Bro, he's given us one whole year of pure shine. Basically, last year when he came in, he was one of the biggest difference makers. Within 6 months, he made himself almost one of the signings of the season. And in the first half of the season, he was literally the needle pusher. The only problem was he had injuries. I think the first couple of games he missed a couple. Second half towards the back end, near close to the World Cup, he missed a couple as well. But whenever he was fit in the first half, he was always making a difference. He's just, I feel like now a little bit rusty. I feel like, or just still finding his match fitness. Bentancur, it seems like, has found his gusto a lot quicker coming back off that big injury from the World Cup. But yeah.
I have no worries about him. I think he'll be back to his best soon. And I feel like the good thing with him is Conte has recognized that he's a linchpin in this team. So he has to play regularly. And I feel like through game time, he'll get back to what we've grown accustomed to, and he'll build back his rhythm, right? But
yeah, do you know what?
It's time to talk about the main man. It's time to talk.
I was gonna say, do you know what game I reckon we will burst back on? The Champions League game is the one I really got my eye on, where I'm like, I think that's the one where he's got his eye on, thinking, yeah, this is what I came here for.
We'll talk about Milan. We're gonna talk about Milan. It's 7:44, so let's press on now. Let's talk about Harry Kane, man, because listen, love him, like him, hate him, right? You have to respect him. You have to. Yeah. 267 goals in all comps for Spurs. Like that's a madness at 29 years old. 267 goals for any striker at one club by the age of 29 is insane. And then, like you said, 200 Premier League goals. 200 Premier League goals. He is outright third top scorer in Premier League history at 29 years old. And I'm trying to see how many games he's actually played in the Premier League. 304 Premier League appearances. He's literally got 2 and 3 scoring rate. Literally got 2 and 3 scoring rate. He reached 200 goals faster than Shearer, faster than Rooney as well. Like this guy, mate, take it away, man. Please talk on H, man. Please.
Different class. What is it? Expression says class A Kane, brother. Like, I don't know what more can define greatness at this club, in my opinion. I think I've said it many a times on the show, bro. Like, best player we've ever produced, best player we ever will produce, best player that's ever been produced. For me, he's the best thing about this club, honestly. A lot of the times I feel like over the last couple of years, he's been, had a lot of, I wouldn't say disrespect, but people try and take the gloss off his career, if you like, whether that's the trophy jabs, whether that's the international missing the penalty jab, whether that's does he choke up at big moments jab. But I think sometimes we live in an era where we see so much football, we have so much access to media, so much access to players, we question everything. If Kane was playing like 20, 25 years ago, I feel like it would have been... You see how they talk about Gaza? Man was popping for only a period. This guy has been doing this for years now. Remember, first year they called him one season wonder. Then it was 2 years. Then it was back-to-back golden boots. Then it was 3 golden boots. Then it was World Cup top goal scorer. Like, then he changed his game completely to become like a deep line forward almost. And people were like, oh, yo, Kane doesn't bag enough goals. Last year, he took the first 4 months off in the season and still ended up with 17 Premier League goals. I think 4th highest score or 3rd highest score, whatever it was. Nuts. Like, and this season, everyone's been gassing up Haaland, talking about 25 goals. He's going to break this record. You saw what a real 9 performance was yesterday. You saw champion defense, cool. Haaland, I see you on the other side, cool. You lot should have signed me instead of signing 100 mil Jack Grealish. That's what that performance was yesterday. And it was just so crowning and fitting. I felt like that was the moment where he broke the record, in my opinion. At home as well. Loved it, man. Legend at this club, bruv. And no matter what a legend in football, people can look at it and say, even if he does retire with no trophies, he is still going to be remembered as one of the greatest strikers of his generation, and arguably England's greatest ever player, in my opinion. One of the greatest players. Bro, how far is he?
He's definitely, I don't know if he's England's greatest player.
Here's what I'll say, yeah. Who's done as well as... You look at all the England teams, yeah. The guys like Gerrard, Lampard, Rio, they all get gassed up for what? Reaching quarterfinals of England. Them man's England careers, they might be legendary at club level, but England, they didn't do nothing. Kane at least got to a final, a semi-final, got a golden boot at one. People can say, yeah, his individual performances might have not been there. Played his part. Do you see what I'm saying? And then when you add on top of that, all right, I got my all-time scoring record there as well. You can't really talk to him. The proof is in the pudding, as they say.
Listen, I don't know. I don't know if I can.
All I'm saying is there will be a case to be the greatest player, but he will definitely
people
retire.
keep smashing the like button as well as Jamino. Nah, it's an interesting conversation, man, because I feel like it's a polarizing discussion, and I honestly understand where some people are coming from, because it's like, oh yeah, like he's 29 years old, a player of this caliber, like it's a travesty that they haven't won a trophy. And I think it is. I think it is. He's so good. He's bona fide world class striker, like bona fide. Like he's been top two, top three strikers on the planet for like the last four years or something like that. But it is a travesty, and I feel like that's what makes it a polarizing discussion. Because if he wasn't a team that was winning trophies, and he's got a couple of trophies under his belt, there wouldn't be a discussion on Harry Kane, because people would just let his football do the talking. But unfortunately for him, because we've not won anything, he's not won anything, and he's choked in some of the big moments, it brings the criticism. But one thing you mentioned with him is the legend aspect. Like, that word gets thrown around, right? But he is a bona fide Tottenham legend. It may not mean anything to other people, but it means something to me as a Spurs fan. He's a bona fide Spurs legend. And listen, I love Jermaine Defoe. Like, I have like my favorite strikers. But if we're talking about the very best striker, he is without a doubt the best striker I've seen play for Spurs, without a doubt. And it's not even close. He's comfy. And you hear the hipster choice of Berbatov, who had more tech, etc., and Jermaine Defoe, who was nimble and could just whack a ball from wherever. But if we're talking the best performer by a landslide, it's Harry Kane for Spurs. And if we're talking Premier League, yeah, this guy is a Premier League legend. I don't want to hear otherwise. He is a Premier League legend. You cannot be third in the all-time goal scoring charts and not be seen as a Premier League legend. He is a Premier League legend, and I will stand on two feet, and I'll say that with chest. He is a Premier League legend, and he's gonna break Wayne Rooney's record. We've spoken on this so many times. I said this at the start of the season. He's gonna break two things. I said at the start of the season. Son's gonna join Premier League 100 club. Obviously, that's been a bit stinky, but Son will get there. I'm guaranteed. I'm so sure Son will get there at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And Harry Kane is gonna get into the second all-time goal, right? So for me, I just feel like this guy, man, I just want him to get his flowers, because you know what it is. Sometimes as fans, we almost take it for granted. Like, I know Harry Kane, he's not Superman. He's not perfect. He's gonna have his moments. He tried to walk out in the club. And what, Rooney's?
Yeah.
Rooney's. Sorry, am I behind?
Bruv, you are delayed. I asked that like 20 seconds ago.
Am I behind? Can you hear me? Hello? Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Hello?
Hey, that was the maddest
Hello?
line.
You can hear me. Sorry, I don't know what the fuck's happening. Sorry.
Nah, bro, you're lagging like you're on PlayStation.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah,
but, yeah. See, it's freezing now as well. I don't know. My internet is just moving mad. It's pissing me off, man. It really is.
Hey.
No, but I agree.
What's he got left to break Rooney's record?
Anyway, you said I said already he's going to break Rooney's record. So that answers your question. He's going to break Wayne Rooney's record this season, 100%.
Listen, I think it's
man, my shit is frozen. Oh, let me put this up on my phone quickly. I don't know why it's doing this. It's pissing me off.
Hey, Thfc technical difficulties. You know what I mean? That might be what Thfc stands for. Tobes' house got some fucked up connection. Hey. I guess it's a one-man show then, right, people? So what do we think? Kane record getting broken this year? Yes or no? I'm like, how do I set up a poll? Innit? AB15 says dial-up internet. I agree, bruv. Tobe says I'll be back shortly. CJ Train says Tobe's Wi-Fi did a bumper K, yeah. Raging says seems like UK has a lot of Wi-Fi issues in 2023. Brother, since we Brexited, they're giving us that bootleg Wi-Fi over here, man. I don't know. I must be surviving the pandemic. Smash the likes. Tobe says keep going, Fuad. Listen, man, I'm a one-man show, baby. I could keep this going all day. Come on, baby. Tap in Tobe's FC. You know what it is. We're now changing the channel to fucking, I don't even know. Frontline Fuad FC. Who we got next as well, actually, on the fixtures? Let me have a look. Ooh, we got Leicester next. Didn't they just beat Villa away as well? 4-2. What a mad comeback. Keisho says, Fuad, you're the reason we get technical difficulties. This happened on Stoppage Time TV as well. Brother, don't even remind me of the technical difficulties on Stoppage Time TV. Man nearly lost hair this week. Listen, the amount of technical difficulties I've seen this week here. Hey, it ain't easy, this content live, you know what I mean? Everybody thinks it's all hunky-dory. That's when it's nice. When shit ain't going smooth, shit can go south quick. Farshan says, Fuad moving solo like Kyrie. Bro, Kyrie's at the Mavs now, you know what I mean? He might be cooking something up with Luka. All right, I'd like to see that. Luka with a ring. I would love it. And I think I deserve. Nah, bro. Fuad about to be an IT technician. Never that, man. I'm not that techie, man. The most I could do is something with it. Microsoft Excel. If you need any help with that, I used to be a data analyst, so might be able to give you a hand with that. Swanee, are you on Big Six? Yeah, bro. I'm on Big Six, 9 o'clock. Right after this, I'll be on Big Six. Yes, Tobes. You saying? Hey, yeah, you're looking Chris now. HD. All right.
Yeah, better.
Yeah, better. Much better.
Okay, cool. I don't know, bro. It's this area that I live in now. Like, don't even get me started, bro. But yeah.
Hey, you know that only happens when man move to posh ends, you know. Hey,
this is posh.
This in the world, you know. Hey, I like this that.
This is literally 10 minutes away from my family home. It's not posh at all.
Man but I'm in the hidden hills.
But listen, we'll move on from Harry Kane, right? Just in the interest of time, right? And let's talk about what's coming up, right? Because we are playing Leicester, and we're in a race for top 4. So the win against Man City took us 1 point behind Newcastle, who obviously have a game in hand, and took us 3 points behind Man United, who have a game in hand, which they will play tomorrow at home to Leeds. Is it home or away they're playing tomorrow? Home, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think it's home. But talk to me about your thoughts on this top 4, man, because I was doing my research, man. You know me, I like to do my research. I like to be analytical on Spurs. And I was trying to compare us this season to last season, right? At this stage of last season, 22 games played with a worse squad, we were on 42 points. This stage of the season, with a better squad, we're on 39 points. So we're 3 points behind. We're 3 points off of our standing in comparison to last year, and goal difference is similar, which is bizarre when you actually look at the firepower that we have at our disposal this season in comparison to last, right? Mm-hmm. What is your perception of top 4? Like, do you see this? Do you see that Man City win as a flash in the pan, or do you see it as like building blocks? And the only reason why I ask that is because we sorry, I just received an email now. The only reason why I asked that is 1 second. Sorry, I've just seen a mad email, but I'll respond to that. The only reason why I asked that is because we played Man City at a similar period last year, right? We beat them 3-2 at their ground. but that was off the back of 3 straight losses, and then we then went on to lose to Burnley. And it was only until maybe a month and a half after that that belief actually started to grow that we could get top 4. So now, where do you stand on top 4?
Bro, I think because we're in February, everybody presumes we're further down in the season than we are. There's still 18 games left to go. Essentially, we're at the point where Christmas period would be normally. But because of the World Cup, obviously, it's pushed things back a little bit. If I had to put a percentage on it, to be fair, I'm looking at a 40% chance of us making top 4. I didn't see it before the season. Now I'm looking at it. I'm still not being blinded by what I see at the table. I know the top 4 race for the past 4 years in the Premier League. You look at it, it's a mudsling. There's always, you had Leicester the past 2 years who were pretty much locks up until the last 4-5 weeks, maybe. So the top 4 race is one of the, forget title race, that is one of the worst kind of competitive races, in my opinion, because nobody is ever consistent enough. It's almost like the best of the bad bunch qualify, if that makes sense. So I look at Newcastle and I'm starting to see post-World Cup, they're maybe not as sharp as they were going forward. Will their goals dry out? Yeah. And then United, it's all looking well and good, but that ride is also going to have a hitch at some point. European football is going to come back in soon as well. And then I'm looking at, I'll be honest with you, I'm not sleeping on Chelsea as well. I know they drew against Fulham and they've got 100 new signings, they've got a gel or whatever, but I still look at their squad and I'm like, they've got enough quality and I think they can put enough of a run together because the Premier League is that bad, bro. You've got Brentford and Fulham sitting 7th and 8th and 6th. It's like, come on, guys. That means pretty much everyone that normally should be there is falling by the wayside. The quality in the Premier League this year, I feel like some of the bigger teams are performing as well. So I don't know. I can't call the top 4 race at the minute, but I would give us possibly a 40% chance to qualify, in my opinion.
Okay, fair. I've not really felt confident about top 4 since the back end of sorry, I've not felt confident about top 4 probably since the start of January this year, man. I felt like that loss to Aston Villa just really left a nasty taste in my mouth about top 4, man. But when you actually look at it, right, Spurs actually have a squad capable of getting top 4. I don't think we had a squad capable of getting top 4 last year. I do think that those 2 players made the impact, and Conte's magic helped. He set up a system that helped Spurs develop themselves into a side that could be consistent. Yeah. I actually think on paper, when you look at how the season is shaped up, Spurs actually have enough to get top 4. And like you said, for us, there's 16 games left. There's 16 games left. There's 1 point difference between Newcastle play the game in hand. Like, we can change. We're in a much better position to get top 4 than a so-called Chelsea or a Liverpool. And when you look at the teams that we still need to play on foot, that's where I'm a bit so-and-so, because
you know what it is? Because I know you're probably looking at the fixtures and thinking they're quite favourable. But I'm not.
I don't think they are favourable.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I think we still got to play Newcastle at their ground. Yeah. We still got to go. Pardon?
Chelsea in a couple of weeks as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Chelsea at home. But I said the only good thing about the fixtures is United, that's a home fixture, right? Chelsea, that's a home fixture, right? I just think with Spurs, we have a squad that's capable of getting top 4. We have a manager that's capable of getting top 4. Like, I would not be shocked if Spurs actually still finish top 4, because that was my expectation at the start of the season. That was my expectation, right? But the one concern with Tottenham is the consistency. It's weird. With a better squad, it's like we've not been able to handle the extra fixtures well this season, and we've not been able to handle absences in our team with injuries and stuff. And the style of play and our ability to beat teams has just been so haphazard all season. And that's what you need to get top. Eventually, you're going to need to be consistent to get top 4. The reason why Newcastle are in the position they are now is because despite them dropping off in terms of the goals, they're not losing. They don't lose.
Their defense is impregnable.
They don't lose. They've got the best defensive record in the league. Man United have won 13 of 14 home games on the bounce in all competitions. On the bounce. Spurs are only just getting off the back of their first win in around 4 or 5 league games, right?
No, because we beat Fulham back-to-back wins, isn't it?
No, I'm saying at home. Yeah. So I don't think this team are incapable of putting together like a 3 or 4 game run. I don't think this team are incapable of going a couple of games unbeaten. I think we can do it. We did it at the start of the season, despite not playing that well. They can do it. But the problem is there's just been way too many erratic decisions made and too much what's the word I'm looking for? Or too little coaching from Conte. Like we have the minerals to make top 4, but I just don't know if I can put my faith in this team.
What are you saying?
For example,
are you saying Conte not being there versus City is why we won?
No, that's literally not what I'm saying, bro. I don't know why you're putting words into it. I don't know why you're putting words into it.
Sorry. I saw an opening. I thought I could take it.
I feel like we're in I'm in a similar position to Spurs as I was last year, albeit with Spurs having a better squad, where I'm almost waiting for the team to give me a reason for me to have that belief in them that they'll get top 4 again. Last year they gave me a reason because they went like 5 wins in 6, blasting blasting the likes of Newcastle, blasting the likes of Villa, blasting the likes of Everton, etc., blasting the likes of Leeds. I'm waiting for Spurs to give me a reason that they're going to get top 4. Show me that you are going to be more resilient than Newcastle. Show me that you are going to grind out more results than Man United. Once they show me that, once I can get a glimpse, 4, 5, 6 game spell, I'll put my belief in this team again. But for the time being, I'm just going to manage the expectations and go with what I've seen recently, which is a side who have the quality on paper to get top 4, but don't put that quality together properly on the pitch.
No, you hit the nail on the head there, bro. Literally. Couldn't have said it any better. I think with qualities there, you can do it, and I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the season I see Spurs 4th. But then at the same time, I've seen nothing so far that makes me indicate, except people just show me the table every once in a while and go, hey, man, look, we're not that far off. And earlier on in the season, it was, hey, man, we're 3rd and, we're 4th and, we're still in the mix. It's like, I don't know, man. It just feels like not stable. Like it could just fall apart at any time. So I don't know. I hope in the second half of the season, we could really see something, which is why I said when I see Son last week or 2 cooking up a little something, when I see Poro coming in, when I see Danjuma giving us some freshness, I'm like, this is a little bit of what we had last season. Can we get that cooking again? That will be key.
Yeah, and I think we're sort of hoping that, like you've touched on a good point there, Pedro Porro and Danjuma, right? We're hoping that they can provide a spark in this team when they do play. That will be a big help. And having Son here and active for the part in the second half of the campaign, that helps. If Richie can start bagging the goals, that will help. If Kulusevski gets back into his groove, that will help, right? If Bissouma actually starts playing, like that will help. And even the defense, if Davies and Dyer can even give us 80% of what they gave us in the second half of last year, then Spurs stand a good chance. But there's a lot of factors there. There's a lot of factors that have to go on.
You named about 8 there.
You get what I'm saying? But it's not even just top 4; it's trophies as well, like FA Cup as well. I want us to take that seriously. We need to take that seriously. Like,
more than you believe.
It shouldn't just be a top 4 thing. It needs to be a trophy. The trophy should be paramount. FA Cup, we got a great opportunity this year, right? You need to go for it. You have to go for it. You must go for it.
It is absolutely imperative that we challenge for the FA Cup this year. This is a year I actually want us to go all in. Like, I would sacrifice top 4 for an FA Cup.
And this one as well.
Oh my God. Make it 9. I almost forgot that one. Hey, nah, but for real, yeah, like even listen, man. I hope Skullfugger ain't watching this, but Champions League, yeah. Let me just say, I'm not gonna say we're winning it. I'm not saying we're finalists, anything like that.
Stop it! Stop! I'm not saying that.
I'm just going to ask you a question, Tobes. Who are the 4 favorites right now for the Champions League?
Man City.
What did we just do to them? Continue.
Real Madrid.
Have you seen how they're looking? Have you seen how they're looking?
Who else are in it?
Bro, I'll tell you the
Bayern Munich.
You think I'm Nagelsmann is tricking me? Bring him.
Are you forgetting what they did to us the last time we played them?
Bring them.
You're crazy. You're crazy. Saeed, big up Saeed as well in the chat, but you do make a fair point. There is no clear favorite. And we'll touch on Champions League just before the stream ends. Napoli.
That's the only team that, and imagine that Napoli, who last year would you have even considered Napoli one of the like forefront teams in Europe? Now we're saying they're one of the favorites in the Champions League. That's what I'm saying. And listen, it's an open game. That's all I wanted to say with the Champions League. I didn't even want to bring us up. I'm just saying, when I look at the Champions League, it's an open game. I would like to see us throw some chips in that. Throw a few pounds. What happens? You know what I mean? AC Milan. Have you seen their form? We'll
finish off on Milan, but quick score prediction for Leicester. Quick score prediction for Leicester. What are you predicting? No Romero, potentially a debut for Pedro Porro, potentially a Premier League debut for Dan Zuma if both those guys come off the bench. What are you predicting from this game?
For the AC Milan?
No, for the Leicester game. Score
the Leicester game. Leicester obviously came back nicely as well against Villa, to be fair, in the 4-2 game over the weekend. Leicester are such a weird team. They're either good or they're really bad. Like I can't make them out this season. We are at away, aren't we, as well, this one?
Yeah.
I think I would like to see a 2-1 win. I think against Leicester we tend to do pretty well, but I don't know if away we tend to do quite well. I remember last time we played them, I don't know if it was last time or if it was the season before when we played them away at their ground towards the end of the season. And we walloped them.
4-2.
Yeah, so I don't know. 2-1 Spurs win, I'll go.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a Spurs win as well. I'm gonna go for 3-2 Spurs win. Simply because I think both defenses are not good right now, but we seem like we are more capable of shutting teams out in recent weeks in comparison to Leicester. But Romero will be a big blow, so that's the reason why I've gone for a high scoring win. Now, let me just quickly go through some super chats before we end the stream. Right, people, big up as well for watching. Keep smashing the like button. Sorry, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Yeah, let's talk about Champions League, right? Because we're obviously gonna do the Thfc show, I imagine, after the Champions League performance.
Yeah. So probably do it Thursday, probably. I think.
Yeah. It's best if we do it on Thursday. I got plans on Tuesday. So.
Took after the show. Valentine's Hive.
So we'll probably do it on Thursday. But anyway, let's quickly talk on AC Milan, right? And before we do that, I just want to quickly put up this super chat from Hey 0011. She says, how severe is the punishment? How severe should the punishment be if Man City were found guilty on all charges? Thanks. Big Tottenham fan from New York. Big up to yourself. Thank you for watching the stream. Thank you for your donation. Much appreciated. I think it should be severe. I think it should be quite strong. It needs to be strong to set an example of Man City, so it deters other teams from doing what they've been accused of doing if they're found guilty, right? Yeah, I was saying on the Big Six yesterday, I don't think you're going to see any sort of expulsion for the Premier League, but you need to see something hefty.
Yeah. I agree with that. I caught bits of that yesterday as well. Is it Shiraz? He was spitting some game.
Right.
Yeah, he was spitting some game on that as well. Fair play to him. But I think throw the book at them, man. you have to make an example of them. I feel like, especially when the government is involved and trying to run bills, and this is the reason why they brought the case forward. If it's something you've been monitoring for 4 years, something where you're saying you have over 100 charges you want to bring forward, and you have that much irrefutable evidence, cool. Then let's see it. My only thing is when I hear cases being charged with like hundreds, I'm like, this might be like a media ploy thing to kind of make it seem worse than kind of what it is, if that makes sense. I think they kind of been, I don't know, maybe a smaller number, you would have kind of took it a little bit more serious. I think with 100 cases, I'm like, good God, if they're found guilty on 100 charges, you might have to liquidate the whole club. Like, how many laws have they broken? Especially when you hear the types of charges that it is as well. Like, there's so many different variations. I'm like, mate, you've literally got to throw the book at them. But I think, as you said, there won't be a Premier League expulsion. City are too big of a club and mean too much to the Premier League at this point. The Premier League is its own brand and product, so they need to try and protect that for their own interest. But the Premier League need to look like they are setting the tone and that they can look like they can govern themselves. So for me, whether that's a 3-window ban, whether that's a certain financial restrictions that you put on City, where I don't know, whether a cap limit or something like that, but something where they really feel the pain, I feel like, over the next 2 or 3 years. And in my opinion, if they're found guilty, Pep could potentially walk, because he's always said, oh, if the club is found guilty of any kind of shady dealings, I'll walk away. If Pep walks away, now what are City? Because let's be honest, City were a team that won stuff before Pep came, but Pep has turned them into this scary, spooky machine that they are. And if he walks away, you start looking at the players and you start thinking, this becomes a little bit like Juve, who sticks around when things aren't going as smooth. KDB's hitting the twilight years of his career. Is he really going to stick around to see, some restricted Man City? So I don't know. But for me, I think the Premier League have to set a tone here. And Chelsea, watch your back. That's all I'll say. Watch your back.
But let's wrap up now with AC Milan, man, because I'm someone who actually quite enjoys the Serie A. I like keeping up with the Serie A. It's the top sides anyway. I'm not watching fucking Salernitana versus Empoli, man. I'm talking about the top sides when they play. I watch them play. So I have a vested interest in that league, man. And every single time I'm turning on BT Sport to watch Serie A over the past couple of weeks, I'm just seeing AC Milan get whooped. They got hammered by Lazio 2 weeks back. They got their pants pulled down and violated by Sassuolo the other weekend. Bro, Sassuolo were ripping chunks out of them. And then I was doing the touchline pod on the Sunday, and I was watching them against Inter Milan. And I know Inter only won the game 1-0, but when I tell you the domination that Inter Milan had on AC, bruv, AC Milan could not get out for the entire half, man. And this is a side that, and I'm doing a preview of an AC Milan fan who I interact with next week, Monday. But they have only won once in their last 8 games. They have lost 5 of their last 8 matches, right? They are free falling. They are in free fall. Tomori injured. I think Tomori injured. Manyan still out. What's his name? Benacer injured. Big blow. Major blow. Leao in and out of the team recently as well. Giroud, the so-called better than Kane legacy Giroud, the goals are drying up, right? The defense are just leaking goals for fun. Bro, they are in absolute free fall. And I feel like it was a tie that I tipped Spurs to edge anyway, even when AC Milan were on form. Now, no excuses for me. No mass. You must win.
No, 100%. For me, as you said, I think before the injuries even, I think I would have looked at it and said, we should be able to give these lot a game. Regardless, it should be competitive. Now, having looked at all the injuries, having looked at their form, looking at their manager, I feel like the players are at the point where they don't even believe in Pioli anymore. So for me, I'm like, we have to almost take advantage of this situation. Conte, obviously being former Inter Milan manager, I'm hoping there's a little bit of fire there for him as well. He can motivate the team. But for me, this should be now. It's ours to lose, in my opinion. So we have to go into this game, whether it's at the San Siro or whether it's at because where's the first game is
San
at
Siro.
home or San Siro.
San Siro.
Set the tempo. For me, minimum I want to be walking away with there is a draw. I'll be honest with you. With the form that they're in, when I see Lazio doing what they're doing, when I see Sassuolo doing what they're doing, when I see the performance Inter putting against them, we have to be next in line and just take our turn in the train, bro. That's it.
Yeah. I think with them as well, I feel like because they're at home, they're going to dominate. They're going to want to dominate the ball more than us, which suits us, which suits me. I think the one thing which I'm seeing them consistently struggle to do is defend counter-attacking opportunities. I feel like they are struggling from what I'm seeing. That Lazio game, what I saw, and the Sassuolo game, they're struggling. They're struggling they're struggling with the counter press, man. And I saw them again against Chelsea in the Champions League at Stamford Bridge, and they were Chelsea could have hit them for 3 or 4 that game. So I'm not saying that this should be a walk in the park, but I'm saying that Spurs need to do the damn thing and kick a dog while it's down. I'm saying it. Kick this dog while it's down and get your way through into the quarterfinals, because you're being given an opportunity here to make the last 8, right? We had a favorable tie in comparison to what we could have got. And now this same team are stuttering. Take advantage. And what I like about Spurs is we have virtually all our players back fit now. Richie is fit. Kulusevski is fit. Romero is fit. Bentancur is fit. And then you've added Porro on top. And then you've added Danjuma on top. There's no excuse, Conte. You have to go there with a plan, and you have to deliver Spurs a win over 2 legs.
What would you say score prediction for the first leg?
I'll go for a draw. And I'll take a draw. But
yeah,
I think we can win. I'll go for a 1-1 draw or 2-1 or 2-2 draw, and I think we'll. In fact, no, screw it. I'm gonna go for a win, man.
2-1.
I'm gonna go for a win. Yeah, I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win. Fuck it, man. Honestly, I'm watching AC Milan now, and they are actually pathetic. The way they're playing, they're pathetic. I know it's a Champions League game; they'll rise it, and I know we're not exactly playing great football, but I was backing us to beat them over 2 legs when I thought that they were the imperious AC Milan who won the league title last year. So I'm not gonna skirt away from that. I'm gonna go for a Spurs win, man. Just purely based on how they're playing right now, I'm gonna go for a Spurs win.
I just hope we don't set up too defensively and pay him too much respect just because it's AC Milan at San Siro. As you said, listen, that's a wounded animal right there. Take advantage of it now. I'll go for a 2-1 win as well. But I'll take a 1-1 draw. I'll walk away there thinking, do you know what? The only issue is obviously there's no away goal, so I don't know how much a 1-1 draw really benefits us. That's the only thing. So, but in this type of mood and situation, I feel like 2-1 would be the result I'd like to see.
Yeah. This comment from LB23 says, bro, their new goalkeeper, the one I think he's meant to have like eye surgery soon or something like that. He's poor.
Who is it?
I can't remember his name. He's like their 3rd choice goalkeeper, but he's poor, man. He's really poor.
Oh wait, is it Tataru Sano? Wasn't that guy playing for like AC? Nah. I must be getting him mixed up with someone way back.
Yeah, it is Tatarusanu.
Bro, that guy was playing for Fiorentina like 10 years ago or something like that. I didn't even know he was still knocking around. Damn.
Yeah. But mate, they got a lot of injuries, man. They got a lot of injuries. I don't know I don't know whether Tomori will be back. Yeah. People are saying I'm doing bare research, bro. I've watched the Serie A. Do you get what I'm saying? And I make it my business to do research on the ops, right? We need to beat them. But anyway, people are saying Dr. Tottenham. I understand that, but no excuse. You're in the Champions League. This is what you work for. You gotta win.
No, facts.
But people, thank you for tuning in. We're gonna call it a day here. You know what? Yeah, we've done our predictions already. We're gonna call it a day here. Remember what I said, folks. If you haven't done so already, smash the like button. Smash that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to. Make sure you click the subscribe button to my channel. Make sure you click the subscribe button for Fuad's channel. His link to his channel is in the title of this stream. Just click his name, hit the subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds, literally. Fuad, thanks for giving me your time again, bro.
As always.
Hopefully we're back next week talking about back-to-back wins for Spurs and 5 straight wins in all competitions. Hopefully, let's see.
Hey, Big Six extra in half an hour as well. Make sure you're looking for that.
Yep. Make sure you go to the Big Six channel. Starts at 9 o'clock with Big Six extra as well. So make sure you flex on this show today, man. Make sure you flex. Yeah. Calm. But people, take care, peace out, and enjoy your Tuesday evening. Bless.